What's up, you guys? Hudson here. Today I'm coming at you with a slightly different video than I have typically. And today we're talking about a lot of the drama and a lot of the things that have been going on in CrossFit over the past few days. As I'm recording this, it's June 7th, and a lot of these things have started happening, or at least have been brought to light as of June 5th. So the past couple days is what our timeline that we're working with. And we're just going to talk about a lot of the ignorance, the racism, things that have gone on, and I also want to share my opinions, my feelings, why I've done what I've done with my platform to kind of bring light to these things and what my goal is to come out of them, and kind of just expand on that, as well as expand on the conversation, because there's a lot going on Instagram right now, and everything's getting shared and commented and reposted, and like there's a, you know, it's really hard to navigate through a bunch of different comments on Instagram and see all the ones you get tagged in. So I wanted to bring it on here because it's a lot easier to kind of separate things, get a little more structure to a comment section, have more thorough dialogue. So I want to know your opinions, thoughts, feelings. If you were in my shoes, what would you have done? Because I've heard mixed opinions from everyone. A lot of people are praising the things that I've done to kind of like shed light and, you know, bring the situation to the masses. Some people might not agree with that. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Now, the first thing I want to point out is that I have made highlights for all my stories that have gone over the past few days on my Instagram, and I titled it The End, I believe. So you can find it on there at ConstantlyVariedFitness. It's the very first highlight. So if you look at like my bio, right below the bio is like the bubbles. One of those, it's the very first bubble on the left, I'm pretty sure. So if you click on that, you can follow along with a lot of things I'm going to be talking about, but I'm not going to be going into super detail with a lot of these screenshots, okay? So again, I recommend going on Instagram, pull up your phone, and then follow along with me. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about is what's kind of been brought to light as of June 5th, and that is Jessica Griffith using the N-word repeatedly, as well as Travis Williams backing her up on using that word once Chandler Smith expressed that he was dumbfounded that word was even used, and how when he said how he felt about it and how he was so like it was distraught that the word was said, that Jessica Griffith and Travis Williams shamed him for feeling that way. Which, by the way, if you didn't know, I've learned this over the past few weeks. That's called gaslighting. So if someone says something and I feel really sad about it, or I feel really angry, I feel some type of way about it, and someone tells me don't feel that way, that's, you know, they try to shame you for feeling the way you feel. That's called gaslighting. Not a good thing. Messes with the person's mental a lot. Messes with their mental a lot. So if you see that happening to someone, if you feel like that happens to you, get out of that situation. Talk to someone else that wants to hear your feelings, because you can, like, being around that will drive you crazy. I'm not a therapist, but just from what I've been learning. So just to give a little more context. In a casual conversation, Jessica Griffith drops the N-word. Chandler Smith acknowledges it, like kind of does a couple emojis, like curious to see, like, you know, did anyone else catch it? Anyone else going to say anything about this? And then a few texts go on and no one really says anything. Then Chandler Smith addresses it. He's like, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe no one said anything, that Jessica Griffith just said this. And then Travis Williams starts to attack Chandler for feeling the way he feels about it. Jessica Griffith then goes and also makes Chandler feel bad for the way he's feeling when she says that word, and says it a few more times in this text thread. And it's literally just disgusting how they're trying to reason with that word that was used as a slur, with a negative connotation towards African Americans for centuries, and literally they don't have the right to use that word. Now, to kind of give some of my thought on the word being used in society and in mainstream media and stuff like that, someone messaged me and they said, you know, all the time I see memes that use that word, and not that I would use that word, but if I share that meme, or if, you know, sometimes I interact with that piece of content, I don't see how that's different than what Jessica Griffith is doing, you know, to the same extent. Now, that is not the same thing. That is just like listening to a song that has an N-word in it. Just because you hear that word doesn't mean you can say that word. The reason black people use that word is to take the power away from it and to try to twist the way it is. And they use that word now as more so a endearment towards one another sometimes, depending on the context, to try to, again, take away power from that word. But that is not for someone that is not African American to do so. That is, I don't fully agree with African Americans saying the word entirely. If the word just went away, that'd be awesome, but that's not the case. And if anyone were to say it, it would not be a country bumpkin girl, which Jessica Griffith calls herself. So Again, if you want to see more detail about that, head over to my Instagram, ConstantlyVariedFitness, check out the story. The highlight is called The End. So that's my take on that. Now, I made a story, which you'll also see in my highlights as well, talking about why I have no forgiveness for them right now, and it would take a lot for me to forgive them. Because a lot of people came up to me and said, they messaged me and said, how is this going to help the situation? Why not give them forgiveness? Why not let them apologize and help them to move on from here? Here's the thing. If I step on someone's foot and they don't like that and it hurts or whatever it is, obviously I'm going to apologize. It's a bad thing. That doesn't show an example of my character, who I am as a person. It doesn't show that I'm a bad person in any way. It was obviously an accident. Now, there's the next level to that, in my opinion, which is her using that word, maybe thinking otherwise, maybe thinking it's not that bad of a word. It's kind of like it's 2020 now. Everyone could say this word. But then if I'm Chandler Smith and I say, hey, what are you doing? That's not cool. If I was her, I probably would have gone, oh, my apologies. I didn't realize that. I didn't know this word still had the same kind of meaning. I didn't know it would offend anybody. My apologies. But not only did they say this word, which is, as a society, known to be a bad word, and you don't say that word, she said it multiple times after that, and her and Travis made Chandler feel bad for feeling that way when that word could have been said to his father in his lifetime. Like, civil rights only happened in the 60s. Like, his dad, I don't know how old his dad, I don't know if his dad's still around. Hopefully he is. I don't wish anything bad to be the situation for Chandler's dad. But his dad probably was called that word multiple times in his life, and it has an effect on the black people as a society. So that's why I have no forgiveness for them right now. I'm not saying I can't forgive them. I'm not saying they don't deserve a second chance. But what they need to do is they need to go out of their way to show that they are a changed person and to show that that's not how they feel deep down anymore. They need to go to some kind of, whether it be, if they don't live close to a black community, go to an ethnic community and help with some kind of organization, or help deliver supplies, help with a food drive, do something to show that you are actually either a changed person or deep down you're actually a good person. Because right now, based off of your actions, which words don't mean anything, apologies don't really mean anything at this point, in my opinion, it is based off your actions and what you're going to do after this, after everyone is appalled and disgusted, which literally I've been getting hundreds and hundreds of DMs the past 24 hours of people saying, this is disgusting, what the hell, I can't believe it. And there's 99% of the people that are dumbfounded at what's happened, and they don't agree with what he said, and they agree with my stance on it's going to take a lot for them to be forgiven. Also, they are part of I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but they're part of the Misfit Athletics text group. This is where this has all been said. Drew, the owner of Misfit Athletics, made a statement talking about how he ended this. You can actually see this on the highlights as well. On the second to last text thread, Drew comes up and says, this is unacceptable, you need to apologize. He kind of breaks it all up. And then he announces on Friday, which was June 5th, that they dropped them. No, actually I take it back. I want to say it might be June 6th. You can see on Misfit Athletics' page what the exact date was. But he makes a statement saying, we dropped them. They're not athletes. They're not coaches. They don't get any of the sponsors that are associated with Misfit Athletics. We've kicked them to the curb pretty much. So that is somewhat justice. And the reason I brought it up and the reason I don't want to keep this quiet is because, yeah, they might have learned their lesson, but they don't actually see the true repercussions of how powerful that word is and how ignorant it is to use that, and how horrible that word is to use and make someone feel bad for feeling that type of way towards that word, is why I brought it to light. And I hope that if other people felt the same way as Jessica Griffith and thought, oh, it's not that bad of a word, we've moved on past that, and again, it's 2020, they realize no one agrees with this, and they need to look deep inside themselves and go, oh, I'm not going to be that person because I didn't know how bad that was. Okay? So that's why I brought it up. Or if someone doesn't really want to change at all and they think people are still overreacting, that person's a racist. So, enough about that. Now, the next thing I want to talk about that's been released on June 6th is Greg Glassman using a disgusting phrase in a tweet that was lack of sympathy, lack of society, lack of other people, and the system, what we have going on right now in our communities and in the world itself, with quarantine and the death of George Floyd and police brutality and things like that. So first, we'll run over this really quickly. The Institute for Health Metrics and something else, I don't know because it's cut off, they made a tweet and they said, racism and discrimination are critical public health issues that demand an urgent response. And they put Black Lives Matter, and they posted an article saying racism is a public health issue. And then Greg Glassman posted, it's Floyd 19. Now, I've talked to different people about this. Many people have different ideas of what he might mean by this, but none of them being good, all of them being a horrible, horrible pun or joke of either the coronavirus and the impact it's having on people right now, either the lack of sympathy for George Floyd's death, or simply the combination of the two some way, and just having no sympathy for how serious of an issue society is in right now. And after talking to numerous people, after learning more about Greg Glassman and how he acts and how he does, he thinks that his actions will overpower whatever he wants to say, and whatever comes to his mind, he can just blabber it out because there's no repercussions. So, the main thing that I have an issue with about this is because just because you've helped, whether it be hundreds of thousands, millions, tens of millions of people become fitter and improve their health markers and be healthier individuals based off of your fitness program, that does not mean you have the right to disrespect and disregard other issues that are going on in society. He's been proven since the beginning of quarantine to make fun of the disease that's going around, and thinks that the only people that are dying are people that are fat and people that are out of shape, people that don't exercise and take care of themselves, eat the right things. And it seems like he's also making fun of Black lives dying due to the fact that that it's not as serious of an issue as it is just to get people healthier. So no matter what context he was using this in, whatever kind of joke he was making, nothing was right about this, and literally every single CrossFitter is in an uproar because of it. He also, let me find it as well, he also made a statement to a CrossFit affiliate that wanted to end their affiliation with CrossFit, that gym called Rocket CrossFit, which right now probably isn't called Rocket CrossFit anymore, but if you look up Rocket CrossFit on Google, you will find this article that I'm talking about. It is titled CrossFit, COVID, and Black Lives Matter. So if you type in those words as well as Rocket CrossFit, it'll pop up on your Google. But in this text, or excuse me, in this email response, Rocket CrossFit sent them a huge email talking about the reasons of why they want to cancel the affiliation, which in my eyes is a huge sign of respect. They could have said, hey, we're done, we don't want to keep this going anymore. But they had been an affiliate of them for 10 years, and they felt that it was respectful for them to explain why they're canceling their affiliation. And obviously, because they're canceling the affiliation, they don't see the value of being in that partnership with them anymore. So it's not going to be an email like, you guys were great, but we're leaving. It's going to be like, hey, we don't really see eye to eye anymore, and you guys aren't really talking about Black Lives Matter, you're not really, making a stand, even though you guys support a lot of these other things. So, she make this huge statement, and then Greg blows her up. Again, you can see on my highlights, ConstantlyVariedFitness. He says, I'll just give you guys a quick snippet. I won't speak for Jeff Kane, but I can tell you that you are delusional in thinking that anyone ever for a second thought you were the conscience, I don't really know this word. I don't know if it's conscious or if it is some other word, but I believe it's the conscience of CrossFit. The very notion is cringeworthy. He then goes on, blah, blah, blah. I'm ashamed of you. Literally blows her up and belittles her like she's a child or something. Like she's, he has no respect for her as a person. So Greg Glassman pretty much discredits himself. Whether, what you think of him before, he has literally lost all respect from every single CrossFitter. And as everyone's been kind of DMing me and talking, and the conversation gone out with other members in the CrossFit community, people have said yeah, he's made comments like this for years. He's been ignorant to other situations going on in society, and has thought that the end-all be-all focus for the world is to cure type 2 diabetes and get people off the couch. He had a worthy cause, but I don't know if that cause made him crazy, if it made him think that he was the king and he could just say whatever he wants because he made a huge impact in his life. But he does not have the right to do that, and instantly, no one wants to be around with you anymore. No one wants to be affiliated anymore. Every single gym is changing their name right now. They're unaffiliating, and they are losing literally everyone. No one is standing alongside them. Reebok, Rogue Fitness, NC Fit, literally Fit Aid, every single person that was in affiliation with CrossFit, whether it be the CrossFit Games, whether it be other kinds of events that they host and other competitions, stuff like that, they've canceled all types of partnerships with one another, and literally CrossFit's done for. Even if some people still stayed affiliates, people would go, what the heck is wrong with you? Why are you still supporting a man that has made these horrific statements and has no sympathy or no conscience and is just delusional in all reality? So with that also being said, at the end of the day, CrossFit is a methodology, but you don't have to follow CrossFit HQ. You could still do varied movements. You could still do higher low intensity workouts. You could still do, complex exercise and all these different things that CrossFit preaches, but you don't have to call your workouts CrossFit. The reason it was a benefit to be called CrossFit before is because CrossFit was looked at as this tight-knit community. Well, it still is. I don't want to take that away. All the affiliates themselves are great communities, and they all build their own little families inside one another. But CrossFit HQ itself, they've been battling, the war on doctors, not thinking that health or exercise is as important as it is, and just thinking, oh, we got to get people all drugged up and give them, other things to focus on to try to pause themselves from getting any worse health-wise and health marker-wise. But Greg Glassman is trying to show people that, hey, doing these things makes people get better at all of these things when you run their blood and when you check their pulse and things like that, and it helps cure these chronic issues that people are having if they just get off the couch and they stop drinking soda. That seems to be Greg Glassman's big message, which is a very worthy message. He's trying to make a big difference, but when you are someone that has these kind of morals and says these kind of things to people, no one wants to be around you. So even though a lot of gyms are going to de-affiliate, a lot of gyms can still follow the same methodology that CrossFit's been preaching. They can still do a lot of similar workouts. There's a lot of other gyms out there that call themselves strength and conditioning, that call themselves athletics, that call themselves other things, around CrossFit. They call their classes functional fitness or HIIT class, whatever it is. CrossFit as a corporation is going to go away. CrossFit as a community will live on as something else, whatever other people want to call it. CrossFit has given people a lot and has helped coaches and helped owners build these amazing opportunities for people in their community, but they've lost the respect of CrossFit HQ's lost the respect of everyone that is a part of this community. So it's a really sad thing. It's unbelievable that Greg Glassman just be so ignorant at saying these things, but that is what it is, and unfortunately, this is what's to come of it. So as of right now, as of June 7th, Travis Williams, Jessica Griffith are getting blasted, and in my opinion, I honestly think it's worth it. I've told people in my stories, do not attack them, do not send violent threats at them, do not wish anything bad upon them physically or health-wise, but if they lose their sponsors, they have to go and get real jobs. I know Jessica Griffith is a nurse, so she kind of already has a real job. She might have to go back to full-time, whatever it is. Travis Williams have to go find a full job because you're not accepted here if you don't accept everyone. CrossFit's meant to be inclusive, and you don't accept everyone in this community. Greg Glassman or CrossFit HQ doesn't accept everyone in the community because they didn't want to make a statement on the Black Lives Matter movement. And real quick before we end it here, one thing I want to point out that I feel like if Greg Glassman didn't make all those outlandish statements, one thing that I feel like could have saved CrossFit a tiny bit was at least them saying that we believe that Black Lives Matter, but we don't know the full context of the situation. We're not quite sure how we want to approach it. Like something to kind of give people an idea of where they stand. But the fact that you don't want to stand for one side, then really both sides are against you. No one's going to be there to support you. So that's the biggest thing. It's being neutral is picking the side of the oppressor. That's more about the whole Black Lives Matter movement. If you want to get more up to date on that, you can still follow me on Instagram. We can talk about that stuff there. But CrossFit as an organization is over with, finito. No one's going to come to them or become affiliates anymore or stay affiliates anymore. We're going to build out our own new thing. There's a really loud helicopter outside. We're going to build our own new kind of organization, facility, and my hopes is that Rogue Fitness kind of takes over the scene, and out of all the different like sanctioned events that have gone on, I know that all the athletes said that Rogue Fitness held the event that was closest feeling towards the games. So I hope Rogue Fitness kind of buys out CrossFit, changes things up, moves things around, and kind of, you know, does it all. Rogue Fitness is a powerhouse. Rogue Fitness is like the ish. They're making the best workout equipment around. They're making, you know, health supplies and, you know, medical supplies for all these nurses and things like that, and all these hospitals. And it's like, now I fingers crossed, they take over CrossFit and the games and kind of run all that kind of stuff. So they'll probably be hiring a lot more. So if you want to move to Columbus, Ohio, it might be a good time to do that. I know they're hiring right now anyways. So if you're looking for a job still, go to Columbus, Ohio, and they'll probably take care of you there. So thanks so much, you guys, for sticking around to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. Again, I want to hear your discussion down below in the comments. Let me know what you guys' thoughts on this. Let me know how you thought, how I've approached it so far. You know, let's just kind of talk about what's going on and what you think is to come of the future. I've got a lot of questions the past few days. I've been wearing this shirt a lot. I have 2 of them, so I'm not super stinky. But I've got a lot of questions on this shirt. Everyone's loving it. It's my shirt that I've designed. You can get it down below in the description to help support me. If not, just follow me on Instagram, subscribe, like this video at least. I really appreciate that. Thanks so much, you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.